So hello viewers, welcome to my orchid world. In my last video I had told you about something new in my orchid greenhouse. So this is what I wanted to show you. My old greenhouse, the shade house was completely damaged by mites and I had to renovate it. This time I have changed the setup. Last year my shade house was standing on bamboo pillars. This time, to avoid the mites to some extent, the main pillars are of concrete now. I bought 4 concrete pillars, about 7 foot or 7.5 foot, like that, and 4 small pillars for the the bench like structure on which my pots are sitting. It's still in a very nascent stage. I have to rearrange my orchids looking at the direction of the sun, because summer will be arriving in a few months, and then I have to adjust the position of the orchids according to the position of the sun, the the path of the path traversed by the sun. It will be hotter because the sun will change its path to some extent, and that's why on the eastern front I have placed the vanda orchids which need the highest amount of light. They are almost all of them are hanging, that you can see on the screen. Those hanging orchids are the vandas. Below them are the cattleyas, which um, also need very high light. And one very peculiar, one very interesting structure that you are seeing on the screen is that I recently cut off one big branch from my jackfruit tree, which is quite hardy. So I decided to make a sculpture out of it. Just made my the person who built this shade house, all thanks to him. I had requested for this branch to be placed inside the shade house, and where I can mount various orchids. Currently I have few orchids which are in winter rest. This branch has many crevices where I can easily mount my various orchids. Here you can see the smaller pillars, the concrete pillars which I had purchased. So this is to avoid the mites, because they creep up the bamboo, which is a very favorite food for them. So once in 2 months I have to apply mite medicine that is specially made for mites, and I hopefully I can avoid the mites this time. Few of 2 or 3 bamboo pillars are also there, and I have to take special care for them. The orchids have been arranged, just a rough arrangement which I need to again rearrange. The person who made this shade house, he himself put some of his ideas into practical use. You can see the small, very cute kind of bench kind of thing, which is on which I have placed my pots. This year I plan to hang most of my orchids, which gives a aesthetic look, and orchids which cannot be hung will be on this bench. So you can see the light is coming very well. It is well lit. This time I have I have turned the angle of the shade house. It's more of a northeast and southwest direction. This is the eastern part where you can see the orchids hung. The green net I have it was there in my previous shade house. I have reused it. It was in a very good condition, so I didn't have to change it. I need to buy more meters of that green net for the top part, where right now one very thin blue colored net is there. For summer months I need one more layer of shading, because the sun will be very harsh. It is right now it is quite okay for the orchids. it's not that harsh, and I still need to rearrange the orchids. You can see on the eastern front the vandas are hung. Below that the cattleyas are there. The dendrobiums also will go to the eastern front because they also need high amount of light. On the northern corner I have hung the orchids which are currently in winter rest, and you can see the frame is made of bamboo, which is quite okay right now because medicines have been applied, and I can rest. I can sit peacefully for another 2 months, and after that I need to apply the medicine for the mites. This time it is quite good for me to work because I can move around in the shade house. Within the shade house the person has built accordingly. I can go near every orchid and I can check specifically for any kind of damage, any kind of mites, any kind of insects. I can check especially because I had instructed him to make it in that way that I can move around within the shade house very nicely. I can go near all the orchids. Few of the blooms that are currently in few of the orchids which are currently in bloom, you can see this is a dendrobium, and a few of my phalaenopsis orchids are currently in bud. They will take some time to bloom, hopefully by mid February or say end of February. The species dendrobium orchids like the farmery, the dendrobium densiflorum, all are in the northern corner. The light is quite well lit. There's falling on the orchids, and in summer the sun is going to shift a bit, and that's why I have put them in one corner so that water doesn't fall on them. You might be knowing that the orchids which are in winter rest do not need water so that they can bloom in when spring arrives. I have mounted few of my orchids which were just lying around. This is one of the rescued orchids which I have mounted on the branch that I was talking about before. Two hybrid dendrobium orchids are also mounted in this branch. It will look nice when it blooms because I have planned it in that way, and I will see if I will mount more orchids because there are lots of spaces left in the branch. When it is full it will look nice. Now it is sparsely mounted, and I'll mount more orchids on this. So if you have some space in your backyard or your front yard, you can make a shed house like this. You can arrange it, you can make it bigger or smaller according to the space available to you, and you can arrange it according to your taste. And basically what you need to know when you build a shade house like this is that you need to choose material which can protect your orchids from the harsh direct sunlight. Always you should use a net, green colored net, or say any other color except black color. You should always use this kind of nets so that air can move around, and also it will protect your orchids from the sun. The phalaenopsis orchids are on the southwest front, where after 12 o'clock there is shade. It is shaded by my house, which is on the southeast of this shade house. And so phalaenopsis orchids, which are quite sensitive to heat after the afternoon sun, they are well protected by the shade of my house, the shadow of my house. So I have placed the orchids accordingly. I need to work on my shade house more, and I need to mount few orchids which are lying around. I have to work on them. So these are the wood pieces that I was talking about in my previous video. Hope you have seen it. These are driftwoods which I collected from one person from a riverside, from riverbank. And it's quite spacious now. It has been built bigger from the previous one. It is quite spacious. I can easily move around. And below on the floor, I plan to lay a layer of gravel broken, because I am going to renovate my gate as well. And the concrete which will be broken, I plan to lay them on the floor, so that it's not muddy in the rainy season, and I can walk in the rainy season as well, because it is mud below, and when it is rainy it becomes a bit nastier. So I plan to lay out a layer of gravel on the floor. Hope you have liked the video. Please let me know about what are your ideas about my new shade house. So thank you for watching.